You think quantum electrodynamics is just a better version of electromagnetism, same force, smaller scale, more precision. You imagine electrons exchanging photons like tiny messengers passing notes, a clean story, a sensible upgrade. That picture is wrong. You think QED was accepted because it made sense, because it explained light and matter more clearly than before. It didn't. Physicists accepted it while believing it was fundamentally broken. You imagine a theory failing because it disagrees with experiments, but QED failed because it agreed with them too well. So well that the answer stopped making sense. You probably believe nothing means empty space, a quiet background where particles move. In QED, nothing is the most violent thing in the universe. You think particles exist, then interact. This is backwards. In this theory, interaction comes first. Existence is negotiable. Physicists didn't fear QED because it was weird. They feared it because it removed meaning from things they thought were real: mass, charge, particles themselves. If your mental picture still feels intact, you haven't reached the dangerous part yet. Because quantum electrodynamics doesn't just describe reality. It works while quietly telling you that your idea of reality was never valid to begin with. You were taught that electromagnetism is the easy one. Gravity is mysterious. The nuclear forces are exotic. But electricity and magnetism feel familiar. You can see sparks. You can feel static. You can build circuits and trust them. So when quantum mechanics arrived, the expectation was simple. Take this well-behaved force and apply quantum rules to it. Nothing radical, nothing philosophical, just smaller numbers. This expectation shaped everything that followed. Electrons were assumed to be tiny charged objects. Fields were assumed to be smooth backgrounds. Light was assumed to be a wave that occasionally acted like a particle. All of this felt reasonable. After all, classical. Electromagnetism was already precise. Maxwell's equations didn't merely work, they felt inevitable, elegant, complete. So the plan was not to replace them, only to refine them. This is where the mistake begins, because quantizing a force is not like improving a measurement. It is not adding detail to a picture. It is changing what the picture is made of. Physicists assumed light could be chopped into pieces without changing its nature. That photons were just smaller units of the same thing. They were wrong. The moment light was treated as something exchanged between particles, the clean separation between object and interaction collapsed. The force was no longer something acting on particles. It became something inseparable from them. This was deeply uncomfortable. Not mathematically, conceptually, because forces were supposed to explain motion, not existence. Yet here was a theory suggesting that an electron's properties could not even be defined without accounting for light itself. Charge blurred. Mass shifted. Identity became unstable. Still, physicists pushed forward, not because the theory felt right, but because experiments left them no choice. The promise was irresistible, a single framework describing light and matter together. What they did not yet realize was that this promise came with a cost. It required giving up the idea that forces are simple. It required giving up the idea that particles come first. And once those were gone, nothing familiar remained to hold on to. You expect light to be cooperative. Sometimes a wave, sometimes a particle. Strange, but manageable. You imagine that when needed, light simply chooses a role, as if reality politely switches costumes depending on the experiment. This is wrong. In quantum electrodynamics, light does not become a particle. It is treated as an interaction. A bookkeeping device for something deeper. The photon is not a tiny object flying through space. It is a mathematical placeholder for a process. Processes do not behave like things. This is why light immediately caused trouble. When physicists try to describe how an electron emits or absorbs light, they expected discrete, well-defined events. A photon leaves, a photon arrives. Instead, the theory produced something unsettling. Every possible interaction happens at once. Not metaphorically, literally. An electron does not emit one photon. It emits infinitely many possible photons with infinitely many energies, along infinitely many paths. Most of these never appear in experiments. But the theory cannot ignore them. This violates another quiet assumption, that unreal events can be discarded. They cannot. QED forces physicists to account for interactions that cannot be observed and never directly occur. You might think this is an approximation, a technical trick. It isn't. Removing these possibilities breaks the theory. Keeping them makes the answers infinite. This is the trap. Light refuses to behave because it was never meant to be treated as a thing. Waves and particles were human compromises. QED strips those away. In doing so, it removes the idea that interactions happen cleanly, one at a time. Every interaction is a swarm, a superposition of histories, a sum over things that never happen. This is not philosophical decoration. It is how predictions are made. And it leaves physicists with a disturbing realization. The events they calculate are not the events they observe. Between theory and reality is a cloud of possibilities that cannot be interpreted, only managed. At this point, light has already stopped behaving sensibly, but the real discomfort has not yet arrived. Because the next problem is not light at all. It is empty space. You think of empty space as the absence of everything. A stage with no actors. A background waiting to be used. In classical physics, this idea worked. Fields could pass through empty space, but nothing happened there. Quantum electrodynamics does not allow this. In QED, the vacuum is not a place where nothing occurs. It is a place where everything almost occurs. If you try to define an electron in empty space, the theory refuses to cooperate. The electron immediately begins interacting with fluctuations that should not exist. Photons appear and disappear. Electron-positron pairs briefly form, then vanish, not as rare anomalies, as the default state of nothing. This is not poetic language. It is a mathematical requirement. The equations demand that the vacuum be unstable. Removing these fluctuations does not simplify the theory. It destroys it. You might think these events are small corrections, tiny ripples on an otherwise calm background. They are not. Every fluctuation contributes to measurable quantities. Mass shifts, charge changes. Energy levels move. An electron in a vacuum is never alone. This destroys another comforting belief, that particles have intrinsic properties. In QED, mass is not simply there. It emerges from interactions with the vacuum. So does charge. Without empty space behaving violently, an electron would not behave like an electron at all. This is deeply unsettling, because it means properties you thought were fundamental depend on processes you can never isolate. The vacuum cannot be turned off. It cannot be measured directly. And yet every calculation depends on it. Physicists did not reject QED because of this. They were disturbed by it. Because if nothing is unstable, then existence itself becomes conditional. And the theory has not yet reached its breaking point. That comes when physicists try to calculate how strong these vacuum effects really are. And that is when the numbers stop making sense. Up to this point, the theory feels strange but tolerable. Uncomfortable ideas can be accepted if the math behaves. Then the math stops behaving. Physicists try to calculate simple things. How much an electron's mass shifts because of the vacuum. How strongly it interacts with light. Small, precise questions. Answers came back infinite. Not extremely large. Not difficult to measure. Infinite. This was not an error in arithmetic. Different methods produced the same result. Infinity appeared as a feature, not a mistake. You might think this means the theory is wrong, that something must be missing. Physicists thought so too. But the situation was worse than that. The infinities were unavoidable. They appeared whenever interactions were treated seriously. Trying to remove them destroyed the theory's ability to predict anything at all. This created a paradox. The same equations that produced infinities also produced astonishingly accurate predictions once those infinities were somehow managed. So physicists faced a choice. Reject a theory that matched experiments, or accept a theory that did not make sense. This is where QED was declared impossible. Not because it failed, because it refused to be interpreted. Infinity is not just a large number. It is the absence of meaning. A mass that is infinite cannot be compared. A charge that is infinite cannot interact. Yet the theory demanded these infinities at intermediate steps to produce finite, measurable results at the end. This violated everything physicists believed about explanation. A theory was supposed to describe what exists, not cancel nonsense against nonsense to recover reality by accident. And yet that is exactly what QED seemed to require. The calculations did not point to new particles. They did not signal missing forces. They pointed to a deeper problem, the assumption that physical quantities have absolute values. This assumption had never been questioned until now. And once questioned, it could not be restored. The solution did not come as insight. It came as surrender. Physicists stopped asking what the numbers meant and focused only on whether the answers matched experiments. Renormalization was not discovered. It was accepted. The idea is deceptively simple. If the theory produces infinities, you redefine what you mean by mass and charge. Not measure them from nothing. Measure them relative to something. You subtract the infinities away. This sounds like a trick, because it is. But it works. Every infinite quantity is paired with another infinite quantity chosen carefully to cancel it. What remains is finite, testable, accurate. What disappears is meaning. Mass is no longer an intrinsic property. It is a parameter adjusted to fit observations. So is charge. You might think this makes the theory weaker, less real. It does the opposite. Renormalized QED predicts experimental results to more decimal places than any other theory in science. This creates a philosophical discomfort that never goes away. A theory that cannot explain its own ingredients works perfectly. Physicists learn to stop asking what mass really is within QED. They learn to treat the theory as a machine. Input procedures, output predictions. Understanding became optional. This was not a temporary compromise. It became a new standard. Because once you accept renormalization, you accept that physical quantities are not absolute. They depend on scale, on context, on how closely you look. And that idea cannot be undone. The theory was no longer impossible because it was inconsistent. It was impossible because it demanded a new definition of reality, one in which explanation was secondary to accuracy. At this stage, the discomfort should be unbearable. A theory built on cancellations of infinities, parameters defined by convention. No clear picture of what exists, and yet quantum electrodynamics works, not approximately, not loosely. Absurdly well, physicists calculated the magnetic moment of the electron. A number so small it feels artificial. QED predicted it. Experiment confirmed it. To more than 10 decimal places, this was not supposed to happen. A theory with shaky foundations should wobble, it should drift, it should fail subtly. QED does none of this. It stands as the most accurate theory ever constructed. This creates a new fracture in intuition. That understanding is not required for success. That explanation and prediction are separable. Physicists stopped asking whether QED described reality. They asked whether it delivered numbers. It did. Again and again. Each success deepened the unease. Because every accurate prediction was built on eternal nonsense. Virtual particles that cannot be observed. Interactions that never occur. Infinities that must exist so they can be removed. You might think this undermines science. It doesn't. It changes it. QED teaches a quiet lesson. Reality does not care about your mental pictures. You can have intuition or accuracy, not both. Physicists learn to live with this trade-off. They learn to calculate without believing, to trust results without stories. This is not a failure of physics. It is a revelation about its limits. And it leaves one final question unresolved. If particles are not real, in the way you imagined, and forces are not things, then what is the world actually made of? By the end, quantum electrodynamics leaves almost nothing standing. Particles are no longer objects. They are temporary patterns in calculations, defined only by how they interact. Fields are not substances filling space. They are accounting systems for possibilities. Even empty space is no longer empty. It is a restless medium that cannot be removed without erasing everything built on top of it. What remains are interactions, not things acting on other things, but relationships without participants, processes without carriers. An electron does not exist and then interact. It exists only within interaction. Remove the interaction, and the concept dissolves. This is not a poetic interpretation. It is the only way the theory remains consistent. QED works because it refuses to answer the questions you keep wanting to ask. What is a particle? What is light? What is really happening? It replaces those with a quieter demand. Calculate correctly. The success of the theory does not resolve this tension, it sharpens it. Because a universe that can be predicted without being pictured is not a universe built for intuition. Physics did not uncover a deeper mechanism here. It uncovered a boundary. Beyond it, explanation stops helping. Beyond it, only structure remains. Quantum electrodynamics does not tell you what the world is made of. It tells you something more unsettling, that the world may not be made of anything at all. And if that feels unsatisfying, that discomfort is not a flaw in the theory. It is the theory working exactly as intended.